My friend, another little series video. We're going to be talking about the circle of fifths. Let's just draw that out really quick. When we've got a circle, of course, we're going to go up to noon, put C, and then C, D, E, F, G. If we look at it from the perspective of counting out of our fingers, we've got C, D, E, F, G, that G major. It's going to go right now. When we see this, the last couple of videos, we talked about how when we lay this out, we can see that C has no sharps and no flats. G has one sharp. That sharp is F sharp. When we keep going with the circle of fifths, you'll notice that every time we go 5 notes from the note we started, the root, the prime, the tonic, we move down 5, a perfect fifth. Going the other way happens to be a fourth. Now the construct is here, C, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, G, D sharp. You can either look at it as being the next note in the circle fifths, which really helps you memorize it, or you can just look at it as the idea of every time that you're going from here, we're looking at one other note. The other way is the force, remember? This is the fifths. So when we go this way, fifths, when we go this way, force. All we're talking about here is adding and subtracting the amount of sharps we've already passed by. Go to the other series and look at the ones that are under 7 minutes that talk about how to know, hey, E has 4 sharps. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, B. When we go through these, we'd also know what their sonorities are. That's what the second series video is, what the family chords are. How to know that when we play all of these chords, that the minor of C is going to be A, the minor of F is going to be D, and the minor of G is going to be E. Well, all of those silly notes sound great with C, and with E, and with G. They're family chords. Check out that video. This one's simply talking about how to find your minors. What we alluded to is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a very special one we'll even do with the difficult, because it's great. B. So these are just chords that go along with the circle fifths. Each one of these is 7 minor seconds, meaning when we hear each one of those shortest distances in the Western ear, at least, is the distance between a note and then another. Generally, they're touching each other. So the idea is, when we have these half steps or minims or minor seconds, we're simply talking about those are all the intervals of fifths. When we do a different number of those, we get force. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 minor seconds makes a fourth up. So we can see how just this C, D, E, F makes a whole big difference by seeing that G has a fourth of C. C, D, E, F, G. Even though it's a fifth away, it doesn't mean that you can't also put those below and anywhere on your instrument. It's a great way to learn your fretboard. When we go through the circle of fifths and then the circle of fourths, we follow this mechanism. Each one of these is laid out the exact same. Some places and some people show it a little differently. They're all relatively the same. All I showed in the second video was how to draw a silly little box around one of these so you can figure out what all your major notes are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If we didn't include F, C, G, D, A, E, B, and now we included the F sharp, we would quite literally be looking at another function of how this circle of fifths works. We can either call this by the name of G major, or we could call it by the name of C Lydian. Reason being, in the key of C, it should be an F natural, but now it's not a fourth away. We're looking at an F sharp, which has a very special purpose. We augmented that note by a half step. Therefore, C, D, E, F sharp gives us the feeling of, which is super light and airy. In fact, it's the lightest of all the modes. So what this circle does while learning modus is introduces you to what and then how to hear in another key how to change that Ooh, mysterious. So that's how I use it for vocals. That's how I use it for sight reading and then reading on the grand staff. And then as far as the circle itself today, we're just going to talk about how to find the relative minor, which means when we draw out a key signature, like how about this one? We're going to look at this one, the treble clef. We got 1 sharp, 2 sharps. What key is that? Well, there's 2 sharps. How many does C have? None. Are we going diminishing, going that way? Or are we going augmenting? We're going that way. We're going sharps. So C has none, G has 1, D has 2. There we go. How do you know what the relative minor is? Because this song could either be in the key of D major, which is, I don't know, like... Switch to B minor. That can also have 2 sharps, and when I write that, I would have to notate it somehow. We share keys. One, it's much easier for sight reading, and there are some hypothetical keys. Like I would never really talk about G sharp, because when we're looking at G sharp, we would have to use one of our double sharps, and that's not always the best fun time for sight reading. So keeping it simple for this short video, we're just going to talk about when we do our do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, we are talking about those families of chords, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, and then the diminished 7th. Each of which have a 1, 3, 5, 1 flat 3, 1 flat 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1 flat 3, 5, and then 1 flat 3, flat 5. That spells our minor to minor stacking. So this allows us to see what moduses are when we start learning what they are, but in the beginning, learn how many keys there are, learn how many sharps and flat keys there are, 7, 7. Learn all the notes in them, so when somebody says, hey, how many sharps and flats are in the key of F major? You could say there is 1 flat, that flat is B flat. F major, G minor, A minor, B flat major, C major, D minor, E diminished. And then when you say how many notes are there in a scale, say there is 1 flat in the key of F. Great. How many sharps are there in the key of F sharp? You would be able 6. Cool. And then also be able to go F sharp major, G sharp minor. When you go through that, the only one that's not would be the B flat. Now it's a B natural. There are only 5 states of being: natural, sharp, double sharp. We could have flat and double flat. We talked about that in the last series. Hope you check that out. And then as far as like our conclusion on where we started and where we're going to end here, when seeing this, you can do 2 things. You can either take the note that you already know as being the 3rd, and you can count in your head. C, D, E, F, G, A. It is 6 notes away. It is the major 6. When we have C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, the notes themselves are the prime. It's the 1. When we have the next note, it goes up to a minor 2nd. We have a major 2nd. Then our E flat is a minor 3rd. Our major 3rd is the E. Half step from the E to the F and the C to the B, so this would go to a perfect 4th. In between, we either have an augmented 4th or a flat 5, so I usually just had that dim 5 or aug 4. Right here, we have another perfect. Out of the perfects, we have 1, 4, 5, and 8. Our 6th here in between is called a minor 6th or an augmented 5th. It gives you the feeling of tension, very much so. Yeah! In comparison to... It's what you hear when you're hearing an augmented chord. 1, 3, sharp 5. Out of those 3 we talked about here, majors, minors, and then diminished, augmented is the only other chord we really worry about. Except for half diminished, 7 chords. But here we go. When we go through here, the minor 6, this is going to be the major 6. That's why when we go from C to A, even though the triad it spells from going A, C, E is an A minor, its position in the family of chords has a major 6. Just as when you play a dominant chord like a C7 or a D7, you're actually exhibiting the triad plus the 7th, but not the Ti-Do. You're exhibiting the Ta-Do. It's a whole step resolution known as a backdoor resolution. And basically it does the same thing. Check it out next time you're playing your instrument. And then lastly, we have the major 7th. That's super jazzy. We're going to be talking about that in another series, and I hope you really do enjoy these. If you do, subscribe, thumbs up, put something really cool in the comment section. And this is how you see kind of complex music theory, but through the eyes of, like, it's not so hard. Take it one step at a time, ask questions, build a community of music. Have fun.